Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She walked in late, hair sprayed to perfection like she'd just stepped out of a commercial, tossed her tote on the counter, and grinned at me over the mail. Guess who got promoted? I set down the knife. You? Director of Client Strategy, she sang, pointing two fingers like little pistols. Evan pulled me into his office and said they need someone who can actually drive growth, not babysit accounts. That's huge, I told her, plating salmon and asparagus. Proud of you. She popped a cork. You should be. It's about time this house had a leader. I let that slide because the pan was hot and the smell was good and I wanted the evening to stay clean. We ate at the island. She talked fast, budgets, headcount, a new corner office that wasn't literally on a corner but had windows. I kept pace with small questions and the occasional joke. After dinner I stacked dishes. She let me. We celebrated with coffee and a store-bought cheesecake because I'm not a baker. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd say later. I would have poured the champagne down the sink and handed her a mirror. But that night I said what a husband says. You earned it. She tapped her phone, smiling. Yeah, I did. The next week came with a new version of her. Not overnight, not a lightning strike, more like a thermostat bump you don't notice until you're sweating. Little commands crept in where conversations used to be. Move your truck. I need the driveway open. She tossed over her shoulder at 6 a.m. Give me 2 minutes. 1. The car app says I'm leaving in 5. At dinner she scrolled while I set plates. Less salt. This isn't a tailgate. I tried humor. I'll alert the seasoning department. She didn't smirk. She didn't look up. She kept reading emails and gave me a list. Pick up dry cleaning, pay the water bill. Remember I had recycling duty. Not a request in the pile. A memo. I took a breath and set down my fork. Jenna, what's going on with the tone? She flicked her eyes. Tone. Like I report to you. You're sensitive. I'm practical. We make choices together, remember? She put her phone down like a judge setting aside a file. Mark, when you start running a team, you'll get it. Efficiency matters. I don't have time to cushion everything. Efficiency or respect. Don't be dramatic. Try precise. She laughed once. Cute. You notice how cute lands like sit. God, you're exhausting. She stood. I'm going to bed. I rinsed plates and listened to her upstairs, drawers opening in sharp rhythms. It wasn't the first disagreement we'd had, but the structure had changed. She wasn't frustrating. She was dismissive. Different animal. Next morning I adjusted the schedule. No announcement. Just action. I moved my workouts to 5 a.m., left earlier for the shop, stopped doing her pickups, shifted my salary deposit to my own account, and moved our joint bill money on the first of the month, not on demand. I unsubscribed from the shared calendar alerts she added every hour. I started eating at the garage with the guys more. I did it calm, without the performance of a talk. I wasn't punishing, I was limiting access. That night she noticed. Why didn't you grab my dry cleaning? Not on my list anymore. Since when? Since today. She stared. You're being petty. No, I'm being accurate. Put it back on. No. The phone lit up on the counter. A message flashed, a name I hadn't seen before. Evan, with a confetti emoji. She pinched the screen fast and turned it over. Work, she said, too fast. Enjoy. You're not going to ask? I'm not your compliance officer. Her mouth curled. Right. You fix fenders. And I fix my boundaries. She snorted. Big word. Simple rule. She walked away humming. That was the first time I felt the floor tilt. The pressure built quietly. She started correcting me in public like I was a trainee. At our neighbor's cookout, I offered to bring chairs to the yard. She leaned in with a smile too bright. Babe, no, we don't drag furniture around like a moving company. John from across the street raised his beer. Let the man carry a chair. She stuck to her script. He overdoes things. I run operations in this house. He needs to follow my lead. I met her eyes. I don't work here. She semi-laughed, which is what you do when you want your comment to sting, but you also want witnesses to call it a joke. Later, in the car, I kept it clean. Don't talk to me like a temp. Relax. No. She clicked her nails on the steering wheel. You always take feedback like it's a crime. Feedback is maybe bring 2 chairs instead of 4. What you did is status posturing. She shrugged. If your ego can't handle a joke, then stop calling orders a joke. She went silent. That used to be her truce. Now it was her weapon. So I escalated, grown-up style. I split chores down the middle and wrote them on a whiteboard by the fridge. Mine were simple. Hers were simple. I cooked my nights. She cooked hers. If she swapped, she owed a swap. No bank of favors. I canceled a couple's trip we had in July and booked a solo weekend to see my brother in Phoenix. When she asked, I kept it tight. You can't just cancel Tahoe, she blurted, toeing off heels. I did. That's selfish. It's clarity. You're steering your ship. I'm steering mine. She paced to the sink. Wow. Big man move. Big or small, it's mine. She stared at me over the faucet. You love your little rules, don't you? They keep people honest. She rolled her eyes and walked out. 10 minutes later, she reappeared with a soft voice and a takeout bag. I grabbed tacos from the place you like, she said, setting it down. I shouldn't have snapped earlier. All right. I'm under pressure. I know pressure doesn't require contempt. She nodded, eyes polished. I'll try. We ate. She leaned her head on my shoulder for a second, the way she used to after long days. It almost felt like we were still on the same team. Then her phone buzzed. She sat up fast. Work, she said again. She typed with both thumbs, smiling. I couldn't unsee the speed. At the end of that week, she floated the invite. She did it in the doorway, casual like a favor. My company's doing a dinner tomorrow, she said. It's kind of a celebration. I think it would be good for us to go out together. Reset. You want me there? Of course. Last time we were out, you corrected me like I was a cashier shorting change. She pressed her lips. Tomorrow's different. It's my team. Be nice. I'm always nice. I'm not quiet. She smiled. You clean up well. Why the sudden togetherness? We need to have fun. I watched her for a beat. She held the gaze like a professional negotiator. I could smell a setup. But sometimes you walk into the minefield to prove you can see. All right, I agreed. I'll go. If I'd known where it was headed, I told myself later, I would have sent a fruit basket instead. We walked into the restaurant like any other couple. She wore a dark dress and a manager's stride. I had a blazer that still fit and a sense of humor. The place was loud with voices polished by success. A banner on a stand by the host read, Q3 Momentum. I almost laughed. At the bar, I ordered sparkling water. She flagged down a server without looking at me. Bubbles for me, she said, then pointed at a cluster near a long table. That's my crew. I'll introduce you in a second. Great. She drifted over and got absorbed, the way people do when the power lines in their head plug into a crowd. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. I checked the game score on the TV in the corner, watched a waiter angle past with a tray. She laughed at something a tall guy said. She touched someone's elbow. I finished my drink and traded it for another. A woman at the bar looked over. You with our group? My wife is. Which one is she? Dark dress, big laugh. Ah, she said, that knowing tone people in offices pick up. She's been killing it. Sure. Are you in the field too? I run an auto body shop. That's cool, she said, in the same tone people use when a child shows a crayon drawing. She drifted away. I gave it 5 more minutes. I'm patient, not passive. I walked to the group, waited for a natural break, and laid a hand on Jenna's back. She flinched and slid 2 inches away like I was a hot pan. Her smile didn't reach me. She leaned into my ear with the kind of whisper meant for both the person and the moment. Don't let them think we're together, she hissed. Everyone thinks you're just a friend. I froze. It wasn't the words. It was the certainty. She had prepared that line. It lived on her tongue. I stepped back and looked at her, really looked. The ring she'd chosen. The jaw she set when she wanted to win. The way she scanned faces for approval like a radar. Before I could speak, a man in a sharp suit, mid-40s, shoulders like a gym membership, slid in and wrapped an arm around her waist. He owned the room without trying. When he saw me, he stuck out a hand. Evan, he said. You must be. Apparently a friend, I answered. Jenna's eyes went wide for the first time that night. Mark, she whispered a warning. I lifted my glass so the table could hear. Okay, I said clearly. From this moment, we're not together. I let that hang. Then I added, quiet but aimed. Also, for the record, she's my wife. Silence isn't really silent in a room like that. It crunches. Heads turned. One of the women, blonde bob, HR face, covered her mouth. Evan's arm moved off Jenna's waist like it was a live wire. I didn't know, he said to me, plane? Eyes sharp. I genuinely didn't know. I believe you. He nodded once, thoughts racing behind his posture. Can I speak to you for a second? Sure. We stepped aside near a potted plant that had been watered twice a year since the Obama administration. Evan kept his voice low. I need to apologize, he said. If I'd known she was married, I wouldn't have. Look, the promotion, I justified it because I thought she was single and fully flexible for the travel and late hours. That's on me. I don't mix things. I got it wrong. I studied him. He wasn't sweating. He wasn't pleading. He was being a manager on a bad day. I don't need your apology, I replied. But I appreciate the honesty. She said different things. Not my problem anymore. He extended a hand. For what it's worth, I respect what you just did. I shook it. For what it's worth, I respect that you listened. I turned, walked back to the bar, finished the last of my drink, set the empty down, and left. I didn't slam anything. I didn't look back. Doors close without sound if you know how to pull them. At home, I pulled a suitcase from the closet and packed what I owned, not what we owned. Work clothes, boots, the photo my brother took of us at the lake before all this, my grandfather's watch. I left the mug she liked. I slept in the guest room because the bed there had no memories. 20 minutes later, the front door burst open. Heels, breath, a bag hitting the wall. You ruined my life, she shouted from the hallway. I folded a shirt and laid it flat. I stated a fact. You embarrassed me. In front of my team. In front of Evan. You told me to pretend we weren't together. That was context. It was deception. You don't get to talk to me about ethics, she snapped, stepping into the room. He's going to fire me tomorrow. You know that. I don't run his HR. You knew what you were doing, she pushed. You said it to hurt me. No, I said it to stop being erased. She laughed raw. You think you're some hero? Because you made a scene? I didn't raise my voice. I replied, zipping the suitcase. I added a missing label. He's going to think I lied. Did you? She threw up her hands. You don't get it. This is how you move up. You moved up. Congratulations. This is the bill. You're dramatizing. You're punishing me because you can't handle my success. I can handle it. I can't handle disrespect. She stood there breathing hard, eyes angry, eyes scared. I rolled the suitcase past her. Where are you going? Away. You can't just leave. Watch me. You're making a mistake, she shot after me. Following down the hall. You won't find better. That's not the point. What is the point then? I paused at the door and looked at her. You worked hard for a title. I worked hard for a name. You don't get both. I stepped out and pulled the door. It shut like a decision. I drove to the shop. Dave, my foreman and friend since we were 19 and dumb, was still there finishing paperwork at the metal desk he swore he'd replace every year. He glanced up, took in the suitcase, and didn't ask dumb questions. Break room's open, he said. Couch is awful. I've slept worse. He poured coffee that had been sitting since noon. You want me to start in with advice? Not yet. He nodded. We listened to the soda machine hum. After a minute, he said, You look like a man who just chose himself. That's one way to put it. We didn't say much after that. I texted Jenna one line. I'll start paperwork in the morning. She replied with a long block of messages that alternated between blame and sugar. I didn't read them. I silenced her thread. At 7 a.m., I hit the county office before they unlocked the doors. When they opened, I filed what needed filing. Clean. No theater. I stopped by the bank and adjusted the last auto pays. I sent an email to our landlord asking to remove my name from the lease when it renewed next month and offering to cover my share until then without late fees. I hired movers for Saturday. I booked a short-term furnished place near the shop for 3 months. I texted Jenna the logistics. She called. I let it go to voicemail. She texted again. Can we talk? We did last night. That wasn't talking. It was clarity. So that's it. After everything, after what just happened, yes. I'll fix it. You can fix your resume. You're cruel. No, I'm done being managed. At noon, Jenna showed up at the shop, dressed down in a way that was meant to look casual, but had strategy in the seams. She carried a bag with 2 sandwiches. Dave raised an eyebrow and stepped aside like a doorman at a complicated hotel. She found me by the lift. Mark, 5 minutes. I leaned on a rolling stool. Make it 3. She set the bag down. I'm sorry about last night. About the sentence or the plan behind it? About hurting you. You didn't hurt me. You insulted us. She swallowed. I shouldn't have said it that way. I was nervous. It was a big night. You said it because you needed the scene to be yours. I wanted you to fit. No, I corrected. You wanted me to shrink. She glanced toward the office window where Dave pretended to do paperwork while obviously watching to make sure I wasn't cornered. She softened her voice. I told Evan you're a friend, okay? Not because I'm ashamed of you. It's just, the culture there is complicated. People judge. They think a husband means you're not fully committed. Funny, you said the same thing about your cooking night. She exhaled. I don't want to lose you. You lost my respect. I can earn it back. That test already happened. She tried another tactic, the second illusion of change. She moved closer and put a hand on my arm, the one with old scars from a job that taught me patience. Her voice went warm. I love how grounded you are, she said. You make everything steady. I need that. I need you. Come to dinner tonight. We can reset. No, please. Jenna, I kept asking for a baseline. You remade the field and told me to applaud. I'm not playing that sport. That's not fair. It's exact. She looked at the bag. I brought your favorite from Bruno's. I can feed myself. Don't do this. I'm not doing. I'm stopping. She pulled her hand back. You're throwing away a marriage. You threw away the we when you put me in the friend zone to your boss. Don't phrase it like that. Like what? Like it was calculated. It was. She straightened. The tenderness evaporated. The director came back. If you walk out on this, you're going to regret it. I regret waiting this long. She stared, then turned and left without another word. The bell over the door announced her exit like a score. Dave stepped out. You handled that. I did. You want the sandwich? Never hurts. He grinned. That's the spirit. Saturday I moved. I didn't announce times. I showed up at 9 with 2 guys and a truck and a checklist. I took what was mine and what I'd paid for. I left the front room looking like a waiting area because I'm not spiteful. I'm tidy. Jenna hovered near the kitchen island like a news anchor waiting for a cue. You're really doing this, she said. I'm already doing it. What am I supposed to tell people? The truth. That we grew apart. Tell them you outgrew honesty. She scoffed. You always have to get the last line. No, just the true one. When the last box closed, I placed my key on the counter. She watched my hand like it had insulted her. You don't have to make it so final, she whispered. It is final. You haven't heard my side. I heard your side in a whisper by a bar. That's not my side. It's enough. Evan's going to call you, she said, a new card on the table. He'll ask you to take it back. Just say you were upset. I wasn't. He can make things better for me. I'm sure he can. You could help. I could. I won't. Her voice sharpened. You're enjoying this. No, I'm ending this. She bit her lip, and for a second I saw the person from our early years. The one who danced in the kitchen barefoot and sang off-key and asked me to fix a cabinet and then kissed me like the cabinet had healed the world. That person was gone. Maybe she was buried under ambition. Maybe she never existed. Either way, I wasn't a digger anymore. You'll come back, she said, not quite a question. No. Because of your pride. Because of my standards. She looked down at the key. Then goodbye. Good luck. I walked out, and it felt like stepping from heavy air into something breathable. The next week was clean. Papers moved. Accounts closed. I blocked her number after the third. We can fix this voicemail that switched midway to this is your fault. I told our mutual friends 2 lines. We separated. I wish her well. I went to work at 7 and left at 6 and slept without a stranger in the house. The silence didn't hurt. It sounded like respect. 2 weeks later, John from across the street texted me a photo of a for lease sign. She moving, he wrote. Seems like it, I typed. I didn't add anything. I heard about the job through a guy at my gym whose sister works at her company. He cornered me by the water fountain like he had a secret he didn't want to own. Your ex, he said, not sure if that word fit yet, left her role. Voluntary. He grimaced. Doesn't sound like it. Okay. He waited for a reaction that didn't come. I nodded at the dumbbells and finished my set. People think relief is noisy. It's not. It's the space where you stop having to defend what should have been a given. A month after that, I signed papers on a little townhome 10 minutes from the shop with a small yard and a porch swing that needed repainting. I bought a used pickup that didn't whine when towing. I got new stools for the garage break room and a fridge that didn't freeze lettuce. Dave called them management perks. I called them standards. On a Saturday, Leah, who handles accounting for a contractor we share and has a laugh that doesn't need a room's approval, stopped by to reconcile invoices. We ended up on the porch with coffees, talking about Sanders and siblings. She looked at the swing chain. "You going to fix that?" she asked. "Yeah." "When?" "Soon." She grinned. "Put me on the schedule." She didn't ask for a label. She didn't test the perimeter. She didn't make me smaller to grow herself. She has her own ladder. I don't need to hold it for her while she kicks my hand. I didn't go hunting updates on Jenna, but small towns pass along weather. Someone mentioned she was sharing an apartment near the freeway with a coworker who liked loud TV. Another said she was consulting part-time and between opportunities. A third asked if I'd heard she'd applied for a role in another city. I nodded, and they kept talking about something else because my face said the topic had an endpoint. One afternoon in the fall, months after the restaurant, my phone lit with an unknown number from her area code. I let it ring. Then a text. "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. 2 hours later, another ping. "Do you ever think we could try again?" I stared at the screen like it was a tool that didn't match any job I had. Then I wrote one line, the only one that needed writing. "We already did." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The conversation had finally found its natural length. People ask sometimes if I regret the way I handled the restaurant. They mean, did you have to say it out loud? They mean, couldn't you have saved face without blowing up the table? I tell them this truth. The table was already tilted. I just straightened it long enough for everyone to see where the glasses were sliding. And when I lock up the shop at dusk, and the air smells like brake cleaner, and someone's burned toast from the break room, and the hum of the street is just enough to remind you the world moves. I think about vows and job titles, and what happens when a person decides their status is worth more than your name. Then I go home to a place where the only leadership required is of myself, and I sleep in a bed that belongs entirely to a man who knows the price of being misnamed and has decided not to pay it again.